And we're live with the most inspirational guy on Instagram, inspiration guru. Yeah, every time I look at my Instagram, there's something of you on there, and I want to start playing.
That's awesome, man. That's what it's all about. Just I ended up being an inspiration without doing it purposely. I'm just kind of sharing my world of bass and music and my love and my passion for music. So I guess, like I said, it just became infectious. So, I just kept doing it. That inspires me that I inspire people.
I think it's the smile and it's the persona and all the, it's like you're having a good time. It's like the joy of music.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, man. You're not living if you're not having fun, man. It's just, like I said, it's a lot of passion behind it. I put a couple of posts up in Instagram posts just talking about, if you don't love it or if you're not, you're not in love with the passion of the art of music, just playing in general. I mean, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
So you just have to have that, because that'll drive you, especially when you feel that plateau moment, or you just get stuck. You know what I mean? That passion, that love, you'll hear something and just boom, just shoots off.
Which works for me, because like that happens to me. I'm sat there thinking, oh, what am I going to do today? And then I look at your channel and then I think I'll do some of that.
Man, it's tough though, man. It's like I love it, but it's a lot of work. But at the same time, it's very rewarding, just because, you'll get those inboxes or those messages saying, I put my bass down for a long time and I finally decided to pick it back up because I saw something you did or your channel or a lesson or something like that, and I just, that drives me, so much more when I'm in that plateau, what I mean? So I just keep posting and, posting and trying to share as much knowledge as I possibly can.
Well, you've also got the Daric Bennett. Well, it's kind of like a bass. Is it Bass Nation that you've got?
There it is. Yep. Bass Nation Academy. I started about 2 years ago. Not even 2 years ago. It's coming up on 2 years in the fall. But like I said, I've been teaching for about 10 years. Well, I'm only, I'm the young gun of the scene. I'm only 29, but I'll be 30 in October. But I'm only 29. But I know, right? then I'll be old, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I've been teaching for a while, like straight out of high school. Started teaching, but so I've been doing this for a long time, and giving private lessons, one-on-one, how that thing goes. Yeah. So, I had a ton of students, and it was just very, very, very time consuming. So I was trying to figure out a platform to figure out how can I, associate everybody, or just kind of cater to everybody at the same time. So, I got together with some of my business partners, and we tried to come up with this, academy. Obviously different influences like yourself, as far as, having a YouTube channel and things like that, and Scott's bass lessons, and a ton of other guys. One of my good friends, Jermaine Morgan, he has a pretty great YouTube channel. So I was very, I'm very new to the whole thing. Just literally like a year and a half ago, started my YouTube channel, and started actually, presenting lessons and it's a completely different feel when you're doing recorded lessons versus a one-on-one thing. So I still had to get used to that, so I'm still learning, as well, but it seems like it's been very beneficial to, everybody. I just want to, show my knowledge. I think I have a different style of playing as well, not just learning how to play the bass. I try to teach some of the, voicings that I do as well, and try to, create your own voicing at the same time, because that's important too. Because if you don't have a voice, you're just imitating someone else. You know what I mean? So, I started. I'm fairly new, man, but it's rising. The academy is getting crazy. I never would have thought it'll have this, this sort of attention, but it's actually going really well.
Well, it'd be nothing without your playing.
Absolutely.
There's like, I mean, you got some, I'm guessing there's quite a bit of gospel chops going on in there.
Absolutely. I grew up in church, man. I just, most of the guys that I grew up around, most of the musicians, like some amazing musicians, come right out of church. No musical training or formal training or anything like that, just pure ear. And they're just the craziest musicians on the planet, man. And that was where my roots started from. But, like my father, kind of got me started in listening to other different types of music. He plays pedal steel guitar, so he played in a country band. So he was playing that country stuff, and I was listening to that, and then studying jazz in high school and grade school and stuff like that. I was really young. I was really interested.
And
in
how
that
old
type
were
of
you when
music.
you started? Sorry.
It's a good question. I get this question all the time, and I never really know because funny story. My father, like I said, my father got me into playing music, and he had a band, like a family band. My brother plays the drums, my mom sings, my sister sings. All of my, both my sisters sing. My mom sings. So he needed a bass player, and even at church, he needed a bass player. So, he said, how you feel about playing bass? I said, whatever. I wasn't really into it. I didn't really care. I wasn't even a music kid. Most kids just kind of want to get on the drums and kind of bang around a guitar or something. No, I wasn't that kid. I was like, okay, whatever. So he gave me, I can't even remember, maybe like $100 or something. He said, go into a music store, grab a bass. I was 9 years old.
Right.
So he sent me in a music store by myself, said, go grab a bass, whatever you can afford for this amount of money. So I grabbed one. And it was just like a black Steinberger, the headless bass.
Yeah.
And it sat there for a while. Like, I didn't play. Like, it just sat there. So I didn't really pick it up until maybe 11 or 12 years old. And that's when it kind of took off. I just never put it back down, but I kind of grew for it. And I just tried to play everything I heard on that instrument that I had,
all by ear. You just
absolutely never, especially in the beginning, didn't really take lessons at all. Just by ear, just by what I heard from different people in my family or different people at church or different people just on the radio. I remember one time I was listening to the radio, and I called my dad at work, and I said, man, this bass line is killing. This is a crazy bass line. I put the phone up to the radio. I said, here, listen. I said, listen to this bass line. But I was like 12, 13 years old. But that's the passion that I had for it, But it started pretty early, I would say. But I was really stagnant in the way that I played because I only played one way, So maybe once I got through high school, I started learning different ways. You go into the jazz combos and, those different bands. At first I played baritone, thing looks like a tuba. I played that for a while. I don't know why, but it wasn't until my junior year, I started actually playing bass for real in the jazz ensemble. And that's when I really started digging deep and, studying, seriously.
I think that happens with a lot of people especially when you're put in a situation where you're going to be playing jazz, even if you've got no interest in jazz whatsoever. Because that was what it was like for me. I came from a rock background, and the minute that was put sort of like in a music school, you put into a jazz ensemble, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I can't do this.
Right? Yeah.
What am I going to do? And then all of a sudden it's like forces you into it.
Yeah, it really it grows on you. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's not your first interest really. It's like the standard to learn, and then after a while you just start hearing stuff, and it just kind of, it's like, I can get with that. I like that. You start hearing different guys and different different bass players, and that was another thing. I wasn't really even exposed to a lot of different bass players, a lot of famous bass players. Now it's just the people that I knew, locally. So I didn't really even get exposed to the bass players, world-renowned bass players, till I was late teens, and I've been playing for a few years already. So, but yeah, it became so fun, I guess, for lack of a better word. It became so fun to me to discover these different people, discover these different genres, discover these different licks and bass lines, and, different people, especially, when YouTube came about, finally, and you start discovering all of these guys that, even kids that can play circles around right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get so discouraged.
I know, it's horrendous.
It's crazy, but it's super inspirational too, man. It's like, these kids are like 12, 13, just ripping. Yeah. I was like, man, but I mean, it makes sense. They have all the resources in the world. Think channels like yours and mine and Scott's. They have all the resources in the world to be able to become.
There's going to be some hardcore bass players in years.
Yeah. I'm scared, man. I'm really scared.
Yeah. Well, where were you living at that point? What whereabouts?
Well, I'm originally from Connecticut. So I was born in Connecticut. It wasn't, I didn't really grow up there, but my father's from Connecticut. And then we ended up moving to New York. I was really, really young. So I've been living in New York most of my whole life.
Right.
So, and I'm still there. Not New York City, because a lot of people think New York City, but I'm more upstate New York and Rochester. But yeah, I've been here for a while. And that's the other thing, trying to get some notoriety with being in a small town. You know what I mean? It's like New York is down here and I'm up here. Like New York City is down there. That's where usually, that's where all the hardcore guys. I think that's where Adams.
He's based there.
Yeah, he's based in New York City, and a lot of the music scene is amazing in New York City. But I'm like 6 hours away from New York City, so I'm so far away, and nobody really knows the town that I live in. And most of the guys that I know now, is like from the big cities, from like Paris and London and LA and New York City, but I'm in this like small little town. So I had to figure out a way to actually, try to get in front of an audience, you know what I mean? But I toured and I played with a band, and I've been all over the world, which people don't even realize that I have been, but we go overseas, a lot, and, but it's been a while since we have, but we tour, occasionally, but I started when I was like 16. But anyway, going from back home, I had to figure out a way. That's why social media is amazing and awesome, because I wouldn't have had the audience that I have without, having this platform or having these platforms, period. But yeah, man, just living in Rochester. I mean, it's not huge. The music community is very, very small. Like everybody knows everybody, literally. It's like a small little family. But yeah, I mean, I can give all the credit to where I am from, though, actually, because, this is where I played all of my gigs. This is where, my teachers were from, in high school and things like that. And that kind of really helped me with my, my career. But I never really had a bass teacher. But yeah, Rochester, New York, that is where I'm from.
And did you... so I'm guessing that you then became, that you started playing in your church pretty early on then.
Yeah. It was early, because my father kind of jumped me in, like, pushed me in there in the deep end. I was maybe like, when I started playing bass, I tried to play in church a little bit. I was like maybe 10 or 11 years old. And like I said, everything was by ear. So I would play so much to where I could understand where my dad was going, because he would play steel guitar in church. So I can kind of follow his bass chords, and I had a pretty good ear. And I can figure out some of the songs because I grew up with them. That's the thing about, growing up in church, because you're hearing music constantly. All the time. So it's like ear training without knowing it's ear training. So I had a really good ear already. It was just trying to transfer it to my instrument. So, but yeah, I started playing in church really, really early. And then I played all throughout, and then listened to some other people that kind of got me interested in other different genres, because even the church that I grew up in is very like old school, like bluesy Delta, kind of Memphis type of style. You know what I mean? It's just really old, old style. And I didn't want to be stuck with that one genre, because, the bass player is literally just playing like 1-4-5. That's it. You know what I mean? So I wanted to branch out a little bit and, explore some melodies and things like that. But yeah, man, it's been it's been a journey, man.
Well, I think I can hear a lot of that gospel influence in just even some of the little improvisations that you do. I was watching one of your Instagram posts today. It's the one where you're playing. I think you're playing on the Elrick, and you're playing a little chordal kind of jam kind of thing, and you're just like messing around.
Okay.
And lovely little chords. You do a few add 9 chords and things, and you move around. And there's a definite kind of gospel vibe to the chord progression, Tell, even though you're just following your ear doing it, I was thinking, I can hear that.
Well, it's never going to leave. It's kind of buried in my brain, and it's going to come out in, whatever I do in some type of style or flavor. Even when I'm recording, I'm thinking about the old, traditional gospel songs and things like that, the way they would use their progressions, and try to play that and imitate that as much as possible. Even some of the singers and the way I voice or do my melodies and slides and, these different inflections when like hammer-ons and pull-offs and things like that. but yeah, man, that has a huge, huge, huge influence on most everything that I do.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
What other influences do you have then?
As far as just music, like I was a big jazz head guy. I was a real, I was like a real Brecker Brothers type of fanatic. You know what I mean? Like, and then I got really into the Charlie Parker. Like when I was in high school, I got the lines that he would do, like some of the bebop lines he would do was so reminiscent of, some of the gospel lines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some of the some of those turnarounds that he would do in some of the standards of Parker's tunes. And I really studied him a lot. It was very weird. And it was just
especially
him.
the jazz blues things.
Absolutely. Miles Davis, all that kind of stuff was very reminiscent of, I think it was, what's the name of that tune? Jeez. Oh man, I can't remember the Miles Davis tune. It's like a straight up gospel tune almost, really. Like that stuff, and even John Coltrane stuff, because he had a very, a close connection to, how he grew up in, in the gospel world too, as well. So it was a good connection to that, even everybody studying the giant steps, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But other tunes and of albums of his as well. Bluesy side would be, I would definitely have to say, I mean, grew up listening to B.B. King, absolutely. And then, after a while, it's like the new era of kind of blues, and it's like the John Mayers is kind of, I can't even really put him in that category, but it's, you know what I mean? Even Derek Trucks, he plays slide, and the guy that literally changed my bass playing life was Oteil. And he was playing with Derek at the time that I heard him, and he just, I mean, the way his whole style just literally changed my thought process as a bass player. And when he would play like chords and things like that, and his voicings, I mean, it almost didn't even make sense, but it was so pretty and it was so beautiful. It was like, just experimenting with that and just not being afraid to go outside of the box. And like I said, when I heard him, I was in that plateau, I was in that rut, and I was like, man, these are what bass players are doing. That was like my first, being exposed to different bass players.
Well, there's a freedom in his playing. There's like a real freedom.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean, man. It's real freedom. He just was so open to anything. I mean, and then not even to mention like his grooving style. Geez. I mean, I probably come from the fact that he was a drummer before, but man, the guy is solid. So he really changed my, my way as far as style and chording and, improv as far as bass playing too. Then there was the Victor Wootens, that kind of thing. Everybody. Then the Jockos. I was really a Jocko head. Like, oh man, for years. The first time
everybody goes through a Jocko phase.
Everybody gets that Jocko phase, man. Everybody goes through that phase. And once I heard him, I just listened to everything he did. Everything. I mean, just the precision, the articulation of everything he played, the tone of what he played. You know what I mean? Just that really opened up my mind too as a bass player. And also not even just bass players. It's just, like I said, I mentioned the Brecker Brothers, like those, like trumpets, saxophones, I mean, everything. More so keyboard players, organists when I was in the church. That really just sparked my ideas as far as, if you see me, I don't know if you ever seen like a post that I put up, I'm playing a whole entire song with chords. That's just derived from, like organists, some of their nuances that they do, some of the, chord changes and, the little movements that they do on organ. It's just so fascinating to me. So, man, it's just, I have a lot of influences everywhere. Like it's never ending. I can grab something from anything, Disney movie tunes, you know what I mean? Like it just, it never ends, it's not just one era, you know what I mean? And then you have the old school funk guys, the Bootsy's and the Virgin, those kind of guys. And obviously those are, A1. And then you have the old school guys, the Jamersons, and you know what I mean? Like, it's standard for everybody, really. How can you not like Jamerson? but yeah, it's just a ton of different influences everywhere on every aspect of this spectrum.
Well, I'm guessing all of the, let's say, Jameson stuff and, a lot of the kind of melodic, Yeah, it is melodic bass playing in a way. It's kind of like a weird.
It is.
Jameson's it's melodic, but it's kind of very rhythmic at the same time. You know,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And
when people think melodic, it's like more so not big jumps. You know, people don't really think jumps when they think melodic. But Jamerson had these jumps, but they were melodic still. You know, the jumps in his bass lines that he would make melodic. He was play around these chord changes like it was like nobody really does now.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Like the closest person I can try to find is one of my good friends, Sheree Reed.
Yeah.
And he just destroys that chord. Whatever that chord is, he just walks around that whole thing. I'm like, man. And it's just a certain way. It's like a certain style you can even get. But yeah, man, Jamerson has definitely has a melodic, bassy, you know, line type of vibe going.
Well, we're going to say that must have had that kind of goes side by side with the with all the gospel things. So that influence must really help, because I mean I have zero kind of experience in the gospel thing, because over here in the UK it's like it's a much more kind of, I suppose it is more secular, but we don't have the gospel thing going on like you do over there. So we. You know, it'd be so good if we could all just join the local church. And
exactly. Right. And it was funny because I was actually scheduled to kind of come to London to do some type of gospel type of event. And then we're even talking about taking like the gospel, you know, chops type of thing over there as well, because, you know, a lot of people are asking for it. You know, that's not really prevalent in the area. You know what I mean? So I would love to come, you know, and do something like that. That would be amazing. And one other thing is just, it's funny because when people talk about bass, like walking bass lines, it's so funny because that was what I started with. Like in church, it's nothing but walking bass lines. So if you're going to play in church, that's like the standard. Like you have to know how to do that. And it became so easy to me. But once I figured out, you know, everybody else's train of thought, and it was like, okay, man, these walking bass lines are hard, but I had to flip it. Like you grew up with walking bass lines, you know what I mean? And it's so prevalent to music now. And I think I learned so many crucial, important elements of music early in my playing. And I think that's what kind of skyrocketed that thought process, you know. But that's just amazing. Just
well, I was watching Andrew Goucher doing he was doing the shout thing on one of the videos that Scott's just done on and I was like, man, because again, it's like you say, it's walking bass lines there in a way, but not in the conventional jazz. It's got a different roots to it.
Yeah, it definitely has a different vibe to a different style. Well, faster verse.
But it's still walking, you know, it's still joining stuff.
You're still walking around. I mean, most of it is kind of walking from the 1 to the 4 or from the 1 to the 5. But we do have those crazy songs to where, you know, like what he was doing, I know exactly what you're referring to. What he was doing, that's like standard, like, you know, for gospel musicians, you know, to know how to do. But some songs get really, really crazy where they have all of these changes that literally go through every single change, like from 1 to 7, literally, you know. So we do have some, I can't even say conventional. I can't even say that, but you know, we walk through the changes, literally, we do. And, it's very fascinating because it's such a different style, but it's still on the spectrum of, you know, just music, you know, in general. Just a different approach.
Do you still play at church?
Absolutely. Still play at church when I get a chance to. It's like if I'm home, you know, I'll play, you know, that'll never leave, you know, and it just kind of keeps me on my toes, you know, because even when you're in church, different styles and different traditions of church, you know, sings different things, you know. So you'll have, you know, like a country western type of vibe of a song, and then after a while you have like a bluesy song, and then after that you'll have like a straight rock, you know, type of song, you know what I mean? So it's so many different genres inside of that one. I always tell people, like, if you learn gospel, you'll learn everything. You know what I mean? If you can play in church, you can play just about anything. And that was for me too, you know, jazz, walking bass lines, all of that. I mean, that's where I got it from. So like I said, that would never leave, you know, But yeah, I still do try to play in church whenever I do get a chance. If I'm not on the road or doing something, you know what I mean? Keeps me on my toes, man. Definitely.
One of the things that I've noticed from, like, even if you're just playing solo, just like a solo groove, like there's a real strong time feel that you've got, and a very marked time feel. And I'm guessing that a lot of that strong foundation that you've got is probably, and the same for anybody that does this, when you're brought into the kind of into that gospel church thing when you're young, you've instantly you learn about that communal connection to all the other musicians and how to blend with gel with the drums and gel with the other musicians and all of that stuff. And you'll have had it from an early age.
Absolutely. It's like I said, it becomes so natural because you grow up with so many awesome musicians, you know, because they're starting the same way you are. And like I was telling you before, when we first started, some of the best musicians that I know in the world started right in church or still do play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of those people were amazing or are amazing. And then for me, my instance, I played with my brother a lot. My brother is an amazing drummer. You know, I played with him a lot. So I was kind of spoiled. You know what I mean? I was trained early, you know, playing with a great drummer as far as having that good timing, that good feel, just being able to develop that, you know, without even having him. So now when I play with different drummers, I can keep the beat, I can keep the time, I can keep everybody else on track. So say if, you know, drummer is slacking or something, you know, I'm, you know, so programmed now, you know, to where you can gel with almost anybody and trying to feed off of whoever you're playing with, you know, and just kind of be that, you know, all around musician. You know, you just don't want to be in the cut and, you know, just kind of playing your bass and everything is going, you know, haywire all around you. You know, you want to be able to communicate and, you know, try to pull it in some type of way. So yeah, definitely, man, you're absolutely right. Trying to, you know, playing with that kind of unit of people and having that gel to be able to play with anybody. You know, we had different jam sessions and we call them sheds. You know, we would, you know, go to a church and, you know, all night long to like 3 a.m. or something. And we will all just play like literally the whole entire time. We would play, we would trade, we would go back and forth. Most times it ends up being the drummers.
Yeah.
But I was like the only bass player playing. But I had a lot of practice in those sheds because I was the only bass player playing for so long. But yeah, man, church is definitely, it's like you really can't get away from it. I try not to, you know, talk about it so much, but you can't really get away from it because it was really my training as far as stamina and everything. Because I would sometimes play like these revivals like every single night, like all night long, literally for 3 or 4 hours straight, you know, when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So it's so funny. It's so reminiscent of a story that Jocko was telling. He was, you know, he was touring and playing and gigging every single night. And then somebody was asking him, like, how do you build your stamina or your speed or whatever? He said, I just played gigging, touring, playing every new club, whatever, every single night. That just built me up. And it was almost the same for me. I had so much practice without realizing it was practice, you know, just a muscle memory, you know, of it, you know, even if it's just not practical. You know, if it's not, you're not studying these modes and things like that. You're studying the connection with your instrument. You know, that, like I said, the muscle mind connection with your instrument. So yeah, I have to credit that a lot to, you know, growing up and having that timing and having that groove sense. Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's a good point. I never really even thought about it.
Well, it's one of those things that I keep getting asked, you know, like if I'm doing a live stream or something like that, and they say, oh, have you got any exercises to help my technique or to build my stamina up? And it's really hard to not just say, look, man, you gotta gig because that's where it's all going to come from.
I know where you're going, man. I know I get same question. Like I said, I know we have a lot of this similar questions being thrown at us, but it's so redundant, man. It's like, you got to work. You got to put in the time. I mean, it's not going to be overnight. You got to play, you know, it's repetition. Repetition. You know, I always use the analogy of somebody like, you know, going to the gym and, you know, they're just going there doing the same exact exercises, you know, not lifting really any weight, doing the same exact thing. Their muscles not going to get any bigger.
No.
Right? You got to change the weight. You gotta up that weight. You got to do something different. You got to do a different exercise to even grow different muscles and your body parts. It's the same thing with playing bass. You got to play something different. You have to be consistent with it, you know. And it's like, you know, you don't want to give that answer, you know, like the repetition answer, just do it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's really almost that simple.
It's almost like an old cliche that you don't want to say, but you just end up having to say it. But I mean, I know at the moment that like my hands are so out of shape, man. It's because like, I'm just not gigging as much at the moment, and it's like I know that I'm not sort of road strong. You always know when you're not playing for a while and you're not doing many gigs for a while, and your fingers, I could sit there, I can do a bit of whittling, I can play the stuff, but I just don't feel, road fit. I just don't have that going on at the moment. And it's like, I know that if I just do a prolonged, even if I was gigging for like a month, gigs every night for like a month, I know that I'll be back, my hands will be strong again.
Back in shape. Absolutely.
But when people say, oh, have you got any exercises for it? It's like, I could sit there doing exercises all day and it ain't going to do it. I got to get out there.
Yeah. You got to get out in the real world and a real situation. Like I said, and it's funny you brought that up because, you feel like you're rusty if you're not on point. If you don't play as much or don't play out like in a real setting, like in a vibe or band type of setting. That's why I try to strive to play out as much as I possibly can, because, after all, because when we're teaching, these guys and these students, we're ultimately trying to give them tools to when they go out and play the real thing. Unless you're just one of those kind of people that just have the hobby of just want to just
playing your bedroom.
Just kind of playing around and have a concert at your house. That's a different, it's a different story. But most of these guys, they want to go out, they want to be able to play live, they want to be able to jam with a band. So I said I can't, show anybody that if I'm not doing it myself.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly trying, like I mentioned, like even playing in church, I just try to keep on my toes. Because sometimes songs are being thrown at you, you don't even have any idea what's coming. So you have to follow along. So it just keeps you really sharp. You know what I mean? Even just touring like the band that I tour with now, we're not like 2-3 months out at a time. We like spot dates here and there because everybody has full-time jobs, so we try to do what we can. But even that, I just try to, even when we do play, just try to take advantage of it and and just kind of soak in that moment when you're playing in front of an audience. And it's a completely different feel versus playing at home.
Yeah,
like you said. You'll get back in shape when once you start playing like that. But yeah, very, very good point, man. Absolutely.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed behind you is that you've got all those basses there. Now, am I right in thinking that brown one back there is the Elrick?
Yeah, that's the monster right there.
Yeah, I was listening to that earlier on. I thought, man, that thing sounds beautiful.
Yeah, that is the Daric Bennett signature Elrick bass, which I still unbelievable to me that I have a signature bass. But
how long have you had that?
This I've had for. Wow. I haven't had this long. It's actually been probably less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
See, when was the announcement? I can't remember. Yeah, it's probably less than a year, man.
Right.
This is brand new. I mean, you can still smell the woodwork and the and the sawdust, you know what I mean? But yeah, this is a signature bass, Elrick, single cut. I mean, it sounds beautiful. It plays beautiful. Especially when I start playing chords on this thing. It's amazing. The action and the response that I get on it is amazing. It's funny because people ask me like, this is a 5-string, and I played 6-string for years. A lot of people that know me earlier on, I played 6-string and 7-string for years. I don't know how I did it, but
so was that influenced by Bill Dickens at all? The 7-string, buying that?
It was not. I didn't even know Bill at the time. Didn't even know. Like I said, I wasn't exposed to a lot of the guys now, and it's so funny, man, because Bill is a great guy actually, and I got a chance to meet him finally, and he it was so funny because when he met me, he said, "Man, I finally get a chance to meet you." I said, "What?" I was like, "This is not how this is supposed to go, man."
Yeah.
I said, "Man, it's a complete honor, man." And when I think it was just last year I just met him, so it has been a while. And I played the 7-string. I was, like I said, I was like 18 or 19 years old. So I didn't even know Bill at the time. I just wanted more strings. just wanted more strings. And I didn't, for the life of me, I can't even understand how he slapped on that 7-string. Or 8-string, I think he played. But yeah, that was just that's amazing. That by itself is just amazing. But yeah, I played 7-string for a while, just kind of experiment with chords, and then I kind of humbled myself and went back down, even went back down to the 4, because just going from that many strings it's almost easier to play more strings than it is to play less strings, you know. So I went back to
You
a
can
4
stay in position a lot more, can't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can stay in one position and play a 2-3 octave scale
Yeah.
on a 7 string versus, you know, playing a 4 string. You really have to know your fretboard.
Yeah.
So that's when everybody always asks me, like, what's a good bass? Should I start off on 6 string or should I start off on 5 string? Absolutely not. You should start off on 4 string because that's really going to get you the best bang for your buck. And you can really, like I said, you have to know your fretboard when you're playing 4 string. So I went back down to 4 and 5, and that's really all I've been playing now. And I'm longing for another 6. I'm kind of in that stage where I was like, okay, man, maybe I need a, you know. But yeah, at the moment I don't have a 6 now, but I want one.
Yeah, I've not got a 6 anymore. I used to have one for a while, but I used to have a dream of having a 6 when way back in the 90s. I was like, I had this idea that I was going to learn all these Bach harpsichord thing, you know, like I'm going to do the whole well-tempered clavier.
Right. Yeah.
It'll all fit on there. And then I tried a 6 string for the first time, and I was like, nope, that ain't gonna happen.
Like if I go back and play like a 6 or 7 string now, I feel so rusty, man. It's like, it's crazy, but I'm getting that itch back, man. I think I have some ideas I want to do anyway. That 5 is like the most comfortable space, you know what I mean? The most versatile, you know, bass that I can play. And that bass just, I mean, it does everything. There's another one, I don't even know where it is. Oh, but the brown one that I play, that's more of the jazz bass. I mean, that thing has a tone out of this world. It has a bite like that's more so my slapping bass. You know?
Pickups are they in there?
All of them have Bartolini pickups in it.
Right. Okay.
All of every single one of my Elricks have Bartolini pickups, and here's another one. Here's the 4 that you probably see a lot.
Yeah.
This 4 string. I mean, this thing is a little monster. Like this thing is a little beast. I mean, nothing really special at all. I mean, just standard stuff.
Has that got a pretty chunky neck on it? Or is it thin?
Too much. It's pretty.
Oh yeah. It was just the angle. It looked like
it was an angle. Yeah,
no, like a precision.
It's pretty standard, man. But it feels amazing. I mean, this, you know, Rob. His name is Rob Elrick. I mean, just he makes these, and it's so effortless to play. That's why I love them. You know, and they just sound amazing. I mean, when he sent this over, I pulled it out of the box and I just fell in love with it. I mean, I had to do nothing at all whatsoever. I just could not put it down, and it just sounds amazing. Sounds amazing, man. But yeah, Rob Elrick, man, he's an awesome guy out of Chicago. Out of Chicago, he builds these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful basses, man. And we met some time ago, and we had that relationship for a while. Good guy, man. And just that's why, you know, people always ask me like, why Elrick? Why don't you play a, you know, Fender, or why you don't play a, you know, it's like, that's what everybody's playing. Yeah. Everybody plays Fender. Like, you know, what's special about it? You know, but I wasn't really like a Fender guy. You know, I have a different tone that I'm looking for. You know what I mean? And it's so funny because even with the other one,
you've got the Squire, the Mustang, haven't you? Is it a Mustang? It's a Mustang, isn't it?
It is. No, it's a Jaguar.
Ah, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Jaguar. Yep, Jaguar.
I played the exact one that you've got there in a shop a few weeks ago, and it's a monster,
isn't it? I you know, I'm the kind of guy, I don't discriminate, man. It's like if something feels good and sounds good, hey, go ahead and play it. You know what I mean? And it's so funny. I think one of the other posts, I just read it just a little while ago. Somebody said it's good to see, you know, somebody playing a Squire or something like that. And, you know, I don't think anything of it, you know, versus whether it be a $5,000, $6,000 bass versus $100 bass.
Yeah.
I should be able to get the same result. You know, I should be able to play it, period.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that big of a deal. I think people pay too much attention to the quality of the bass before they even learn how to play.
Oh yeah, so
I say you should be able to play on the crappiest bass ever, you know, and be able to learn and get the fundamentals down. So it doesn't matter. But the funny story about this, I was in a music store. I was literally just trying to amp out. I was, you know, just trying to see what they had, but I hate going into music stores now, but but even the one here is just terrible. But yeah, the Guitar Center here is just terrible. But I went in there, I tried to amp out, but I just grabbed this off of the wall, right? You know, just you know how you just grab a bass off the wall. You're just trying to figure out, you know, how this amp sounds. So I'm like, okay, blah blah. Not really paying too much attention to the bass, and I was like, hold on, wait, this this feels pretty, this feels and sounds pretty solid, pretty good. So I thought it was the amp. So I kept switching amps, kept switching them. I said, man, it's the bass. I said, this is a little killer here. So I put it down. I never really got it, and then my wife went back and picked it up for me without me knowing.
That exact same thing, pretty much, apart from my wife buying it. The exact same thing happened to me. I was using it to test out an amplifier. That was it. I just picked it up. I thought, it was the lowest on the wall.
Right.
Picked it up.
Exactly.
Banging it out, and I'm like, man, because it's so. I think because it's quite small and it just sits really nice.
It's really good.
It's just great, and so I am gonna get one. And then I saw you playing one, and I thought, right.
I mean, it's so many of those kind of lines of basses out now, man. It's like I think the bass was like 100, maybe $120, 100, something like that. I mean, it was close to nothing, man. But like I said, I play that still, to let people know that. So many people get discouraged of, I don't have this, boutique bass or this, great bass that sounds amazing with all of this bells and whistles in it. And you're like, you don't have to have that, especially when we're teaching beginners. Most of the time we're teaching beginners, guys that's trying to learn how to play, and they get really discouraged because they don't have the equipment that they think they need to sound a certain way. Yeah. But I learned on a bass like that. I learned. I think like I said, my first bass was an old Steinberger bass, and I had like the Ibanez sound gear, like the older ones from the 90s. So it wasn't, I didn't have the best stuff, but I learned how to play until I was able to get what I wanted. Yeah. But yeah, man, you can achieve the same sound. I think I played quite a few people shared that. I played a Jocko Continuum on that bass. Yeah. And like people were tripping out, like, what did you do to that bass? Like, did you put different pickups? Do you have a different neck on? Do you have, what strings are you using? What did you change the bridge?
Yeah, asking all these little things.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. I did absolutely nothing to the bass, and you can achieve a great sound if you know what you're doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's why I still play it, just to show, like, you don't have to have that. I'll just sit there and just go to town on that bass. Just to show it doesn't matter what you're playing.
Exactly. If you've got a personality and a character in your playing, it's going to come out just like in your speech.
Absolutely. It's going to be contagious, and you're going to be able to achieve whatever you need to achieve. I can play the same song on this, and then I can play the same song on that. You're still going to get the same feel. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's and you'll be surprised how many people think that, or how much crap I got for playing that.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, you know how YouTube is. Yeah. You know how YouTube is, man. You just, you have those guys that know everything, and you're playing this crappy bass, man. How can you do that, and how can you play that? And under the same videos, like somebody says, "Oh, this bass sounds amazing." So it's like, make up your mind.
And you know what? A lot of the more expensive basses, I try not to. I move away from a lot of those. Like, you go to these shows and you see 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 buck basses and things. And do you know what? I wouldn't even want to. I'd be scared of going on stage. I mean, my basses take batterings anyway. But like the Fender Jazz I've got, the Marcus one that I've got. First day I got it, I went out on stage. I was going from stage left or whatever it was, and I'm coming through the doorway leading onto the stage. I just bang, smacked straight into the wall, knocked half the headstock off, big chunk out of the fretboard. I was like, no! But it always happens to me. I'm just terrible with them. And I'm like, if I had a Federa or, something like that, and I'd paid a fortune for it, I'd be scared.
Man. Yeah, it's crazy to me, man.
I mean, I love them. It's like you see these things. They're like a piece of art.
Oh, incredible basses. I think I saw one the other day, I think on like someone posted it, some channel posted it, or some Instagram page. And it was like, it was so pretty. It was like, I would be afraid to play it. Like, and I knew it cost a fortune, but I was like, man, that would probably just be like some wall decoration for me. Yeah. It would just hang there just to look pretty. But like a lot of these basses, man, it's like, and it's the funniest thing. Like, a lot of the guys that have all this gear have the best gear, and like the $10,000 bass can't play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the weirdest thing. Like most of the guys that have these expensive basses, like they just want them just to kind of have them. But like I said, man, it's just you can have all of that stuff. You can have the crazy bass, the expensive bass, and most times it's the name behind it. Really,
yeah.
It's really the brand that you're dealing with. But
or
yeah,
people will have that. They might be able to play a bit, but they're not really taking them out on gigs. You know, they're not on the road with the things.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, it's like, here, this is what I got. Like, look at what I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But these basses, like you say, you can't take anything away from them. They sound amazing. Some of them don't. Honestly, some of them really don't. But
some of them just feel wrong. You know, and
yeah,
it's a personal thing, though, isn't it? Because what can feel great to you might just not feel great to somebody else.
And same thing with sound. What can sound great to you might sound, terrible to somebody else. It's really subjective when it comes to brands of bass and amplifiers and things like that. So that's why I try not to get too much into the debate of what do you use or what do you recommend or what do you?
It's a pointless argument.
It's pointless. It's like, what do you like? You might not like what I like. If you're trying to sound like me now, that's a different story. But you still have your personal preference, and I always encourage everybody to have their own voice. Like, I don't want you to have the same exact bass, same string, same amp, same thing. Same thing as me, just so you can try to sound like me. And you probably still won't. 99% of the time, you won't still sound like me. But yeah, just try to have your own voice. What do you like? Even still, I'm like messing around with some EQ settings and, things like that, trying to find that sweet spot of, the different, when I, play these different basses, because I hate just playing one bass. So I try to, I like being versatile. I like different sounds. So I still have to kind of tweak and, do things as far as EQ with most of my basses that I play. And I'm still trying to like develop that solid sound. You know what I mean? Especially with recording and things like that. Completely different monster than playing live on stage, but still trying to achieve that sound. So yeah, I just encourage everybody to have their own voice.
Do you use effects much?
Not much, but I do.
Right.
I do, like right down here, right at my feet. I can't count that as effects, but it's the looper pedal. Who doesn't have one of those?
Is that a Ditto looper that you've got?
Ditto looper is the mini.
I've got that one.
Yeah, like the little one. Like I don't even know what else you can do with the other ones. Like I'm not even a tech kind of tech guy. Like
I used to have the Jam Man, the Digitech Jam Man, and that's got a memory on it, and you've got presets.
Like the red pedal or like
it's blue and it's really big.
Blue, right.
And you can, and there's loads of memory settings, which was kind of cool because then you could save a loop and I think you could have like 200 loops. It was pretty cool. But it's big, and you couldn't really put it on a pedal board particularly. I mean, you could, but it takes up so much of it. But that Ditto is so small and so good. So I was like, perfect.
Tiny. And I'm always trying to minimize my travel, packing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what's the smallest thing I could possibly get? Like right now I have a small little pedal board with like 4 pedals on it. Like they're like the smallest thing. So I can just kind of shove in my, backpack or something. But like now I have this great company, very good people. It's called the Beat Buddy. I'm sure you've probably seen that.
Yeah.
Awesome little pedal. I mean, it's great. Like if you don't want to use just a metronome, I mean, that's an awesome pedal. So Beat Buddy I have on there. The Ditto looper I use. There's MXR. I'm actually with the company, the Dunlop company.
Yeah.
So they have their line of MXR pedals. So I have just about every single pedal that they have. The envelope filter, which is great. Obviously, I'm a big reverb guy. Because when I'm playing a lot of the
I like reverb.
Yeah, I just add that space to it when I'm playing a lot of the chords and melodic things like that. I'll just have that in the background. I think one video I just posted, I used that reverb pedal, and it's like this weird spacey sound behind it. I think I was playing that.
Yeah, I thought that might be a backing track or something. Was it just a reverb?
No, it was just a reverb pedal.
Right.
It's the what is, I don't know. It's like the MXR 300 something. I don't know.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a reverb pedal. They have different presets, different sounds that you can have, and it's like this crazy spacey weird sound, and I loved it, just kind of sitting behind it, and it just kind of I don't know what, but anyway, I use that pedal, and then I have a freeze pedal, which is actually awesome. The the, what is it? Electroharmonics.
Yeah.
Freeze pedal. So you just, you freeze that chord, you play that chord, and then you kind of play whatever on top of it. It holds that chord, but that's good for, just kind of showing the relationship between chords and, improv and, things like that. And I use that a lot. What else do I have? I had the octave pedal. I think it's somewhere. It's not on my board now, but the sub octave pedal from MXR.
I've got that. It's a nice one.
It's a monster, and it has like the fuzz on it too.
It's good tracking on that as well.
Absolutely, very fast tracking. Gets really deep too. But yeah, that one. I know I have another one. I don't know. I think I have a couple more, but those are the main ones that I use. Not all the time. Like even in a live situation, like if I'm doing something solo, I'll use those pedals. I'll use some of those pedals. But like in the band that I tour with and that I play with, there's no need.
I'm the same. I use pedals here, but I never take them on gigs.
There's no need. So whenever I'm doing a solo thing, I'll take some effects with me. But the band that I play in, I'm really just holding down the bass in the background. Barely noticeable. Playing the blues changes. And I'm just sitting back there just chilling. If I'll have something, I'll have the GK Plex, maybe the preamp if I'm playing through some type of crappy amp or something. I'll bring that with me. So I don't really consider that as a pedal, but then it has the tuner on it and stuff like that. So that's probably the only thing I would use in that type of situation. But other than that, man, those are the pedals that I use. I'm not really a huge, pedal junkie.
Yeah. But what amps do you generally use? I can see that GK behind you. So is it usually?
Yeah, I've been. It's so funny with the story with GK because I get asked about that a lot too. So GK, I've been with GK for about 4 or 5 years officially. Been with GK for about 4 or 5 years, and it's funny how it happened. But before that, before I was actually signed with them, their amps and their everything they had, their combos, their heads, their preamps. I just loved them. I mean, you obviously shouldn't go with a company you don't like, but I would use them in every festival that I would play at, or every gig, or every whatever I would play at. Whenever they had a GK, like I was set. I felt so it just had a certain sound. Just to me, I had a certain sound. When they had other amps, I think there's one amp company that will remain nameless. I always, I don't know if it was just me, but I always have problems every single time. Like I thought it was just one time, but I always had problems with this specific amp company. And I was like, please don't, I don't want that on my rider. Just take it off. Give me a GK. And so that's kind of how it happened. I was using GK and I always loved GK stuff. Even the older model stuff, I love almost more than the new stuff, really. But it never goes out of style, man. And then the people there, like once I met Forrest Galian from and Bob, his dad, once I met, I mean, they're the nicest people you can ever possibly meet, man. And that's another thing that's big for me too. To have an actual relationship with the company. And some of these guys is, like, oh, I want this stuff just because the stuff is good, but they don't know who makes it. They don't know who they're dealing with.
Yeah, the faceless corporate thing.
Absolutely, faceless, exactly. So I finally met him, and I was like, oh man, this has to happen. So I mean, they're just the nicest people ever. And we actually started some collaborations with GK, and they actually have a lessons part on their website now. And I just started their first series of lessons of Galen Kruger lessons. So that's actually pretty cool. So it's a great combination. It's a great relationship with GK. So that's what I play now. So that's just like a little, it's like the little practice amp here.
Yeah.
I think that's the 12 MB112, the combo.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I have this, the preamp thing that they just came out with a few years ago.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. It's actually pretty cool. I use it to track with. You plug it straight up, you use it as an interface. It has all these crazy controls on it: overdrive, compressor, tuner. It's amazing, man. I've been using it ever since they got out with it. But yeah, GK is my preferred. But even though I was a big Ampeg guy, I love their roundness of their bottom end.
Yeah.
of that tone, but it was just something about the high end that didn't sit well with me. But
Yeah,
I
I feel
was,
like that.
yeah, it's but I mean they rock like literally for like live situations. Oh, it's
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, like that's just my preferred, amp of choice. So
Well, a lot of upright players like Galley and Kruger as well, don't they?
yeah,
Do you play
absolutely.
upright at all?
I played upright through high school. I was actually in the
Oh, I see,
orchestra,
yeah.
or in the string orchestra. So I played for 4 years, upright bass. And I never play. I always wanted to play it in a jazz situation, but I never played jazz on an upright. We would always play, like the classical stuff in the string.
Yeah, so it's all bowed. Yeah.
All bowl stuff. Exactly. Very few times I got the privilege of playing, picking with my plucking with my fingers, but yeah, all bowled stuff. So I have some, some experience with it. I want one, like I long for one, but every time I try to get one, it's like, where do I have space for?
Yeah.
Like
and they're not cheap for a decent
right. On top of that, yeah, they're not cheap. So I was like, I have to find somewhere for it, and then the wood is so sensitive on those things too, so you have to find the right place to store it. But anyway,
I guess your reading got better from playing upright then.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been reading music ever since I was in grade school.
Yeah.
So I started off with trumpet, so I was reading treble clef. So that was good, that I learned that as well. And then I went to, like I told you, the baritone, so that was bass clef. So I read really well earlier on in my music. It was just, you can read one instrument great, you have 3 combinations of what you can do, but then when you get to bass, it's like, okay, what where are these notes at? So it's just really just a transitioning between your instrument versus learning how to read versus, so you know how to look at the notes on the staff, but it's like when you get here, it's like, where are the notes now? So now you have to do all this memorization over again. And, most of us kind of feel comfortable just staying right down here. And that's it. And this is like the ghost area of the, the bass
no man's land.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my struggle in the beginning playing bass, even with upright, upright, the bass stopped like right here.
Yeah.
Like 12th fret was like here for us, on an electric bass. So you didn't really have to go too high, so it's a little bit easier even reading for upright versus reading for electric bass because you have so many options. But yeah, it definitely got easier when I did start reading for upright. But yeah, I had some, I would challenge myself, man. I was the kind of guy, I was doing my own research, doing my own study, like constantly, like just kind of trying to sight read anything. Had this huge real book, earlier on, just trying to play everything, all the solos and everything on the bass, and just kind of try to sight read and just try to challenge myself to play that on the bass as well. But yeah, it definitely got a lot easier as I went through all my schooling years, and I did a little bit of college. And it's so funny because I would love the story to say that I'm, went to Berkeley or went to, this, crazy music school, and I got my degree and this and that and my master's. And absolutely not. I'm a dropout, man. I did it for maybe about a year and a half because I didn't like school. And, I tried out college, but it just wasn't that classroom setting wasn't for me. You know what I mean? I didn't necessarily gravitate towards that. So I had to figure out a different way, but I would do it on my own at home. Like I love doing it. You know what I mean? And I never really had the teacher too. So even through high school, it's like I'm learning with everybody else. And most times the teacher is a pianist or a teacher is a, violinist or a saxophonist or something. So they really couldn't teach me, bass. So never had a teacher through high school, and even through college, I did like some jazz improv classes or something like that. But that was about it. It still wasn't bass. It was just literally, sheet writing, just literally learning it on paper. But yeah, after about a year and a half, I stopped. It really didn't do anything for me. I have all my learning really outside.
But you were already gigging, and I mean, the ultimate end to going through an academic kind of institution or anything is going to be playing live and playing with people, and you were already doing that.
Yeah, I had been doing that for years way before I had my first gig overseas when I was 17, 16 years old or something like that. So I had been gigging for for forever. You know what I mean? Even before that, I had been playing all over the country, but you know, even just touring, I started very early. So I had that training. So even this through college, I was touring so much and you know, traveling so much. I guess I kind of had to stop. You know, because I missed so much school. I would have been terrible if I came back, and I missed so much. But yeah, man, I don't have that, you know, backstory of, you know, going to a music college and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely not. It's mostly just self-taught, man. Self-taught learning, you know, trial and error, you know, doing real experience, real life, you know, gigging, you know what I mean? That's a different story. You can learn from somebody that's never played out before, but they're not going to have that insight.
Exactly.
You know, as far as, you know, going out to play in the real world and what, you know, kind of situations you're going to be faced with. So I had that advantage as well.
Yeah. And you when you start playing live and playing gigs, you're presented by so many hazards and obstacles and hurdles and variables that are just that you have to deal with.
Absolutely.
And nobody teaches you any of that stuff when you're in a music college, and you've just got to deal with it. And there's no better training ground than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny because years ago when I would start teaching, and it was so eye-opening to me, because a lot of my students that I taught one-on-one were in a music school. We're in college, we're either at Berkeley or either at, you know, the whatever music institute that there was. And it was like, you know, are you not getting what you need from, you know? So it was so mind-boggling to me. It was like, you know, why do you think you still need outside of that? But it was amazing to me, because like you said, the personal touch of somebody that has been in the, you know, been in that type of situation, been in the real world, and has played, you know, kind of what these people aspire to do.
Well, on the subject of that, you've actually gone to create your own kind of music college.
There you go. Exactly.
So, Nation.
My approach is more of a practical approach. Like, how can I use what I've already learned? You know what I mean? What can I do with these modes? What can I do with these arpeggios, these triads? How can I put them inside of you know, something that I want to play? You know, most times if you go to a music store and you hear a guy playing the bass, they start playing these, you know, either minor or major pentatonics, you know, type of things, this type of groove, you know that sound. So it's like, you know, what can you do? How can you get outside of that? How can you become a better, you know, musician, bass player? Try to think outside of the box. And I'm like, it's just, you know, it's not more of a formal approach. It's just more like I want to show you how to use this. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I think that's one of the most important things, to show you how it's being used in relation to what you just learned. Even the licks, I have like this quick lick section of the academy is like, you know, here's this lick, but this is why I'm doing this lick. You know, this is where it derives from, you know what I mean? But this is how you can use it in a setting. So I try to make everything so, you know, very practical to everyone. Just kind of make it more of a laid back type of situation, so it's not so much pressure, because that's what I felt, you know, in school, or when somebody would try to teach me or something like that. I never gravitated towards that type of teaching. So it's a little different, but I think people have been benefiting from it a lot.
And is that over at Daric Bennett? Is it Daric Bennett?
Yes, it's just DaricBennett.com. It'll take you straight there. It's the Bass Nation Academy. It's so funny because some of the guys were calling it Bass Nation. I didn't even call it that in the beginning. I was like, man, that sounds great. So you know, just went with Bass Nation. So it's literally just a community, man. It's like, you know, even just pulling from other bass players, you know, we have sections in there where you can upload your videos, and, you know, other guys are playing, is like getting feedback. And then some of the other guys is like, okay, I like that song, you know, but how do you do this? So they're interacting with each other too, as well as me just giving feedback and coming back. It's an awesome community, man.
That's great.
You get something from everybody, because like I'm still learning too. You know, we're still students. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, 43, if I'm 29, doesn't matter. We're still learning constantly. So, you know, I'm learning from other students, and then even, you know, some of the techniques that they use, or if they show me something, can you critique this here? And, you know, something that they show me something that I'm doing that I don't realize that I'm doing. You know, so it goes full circle, man. And I love the community. I didn't think it was going to get this big. I was just kind of doing it just to see what happened. But it's really, really growing, and it's amazing. It's amazing to me. And like I said, I love like channels like yours and And like we were talking about earlier, like Scott's, man, it's amazing how many different perceptions, people have as far as teaching and these, the teaching styles and things like that, and how people gravitate to what. And it's just amazing, man. And I love this opportunity really too, to go back and forth, and talk to, another educator too. And we do a lot that people don't really understand. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, man, that people really don't understand. So it's great opportunity to talk to somebody that knows exactly, what. Yeah,
because I've always been the same. That there's a few people like obviously like Scott and people like that I can speak to that are doing the same thing, but it's really difficult to find other people doing the same kind of thing because it's kind of something that's not really happened before in the same way, because the way that the internet's all, it's got huge, and there's all the platform that you can create from nothing, and the marketing involved, and the editing and the creating video content and all of this stuff. And it's a real weird little thing to do.
It is.
And it's not like I know anybody else. It's not, none of my social circle do it.
There's no handbook.
No.
For what we do. And that's what I kind of come to realize. And it's so intricate. Like you said, you can be a one-man band doing everything, and it becomes overwhelming. It's time consuming too, man. This is a full-time job. People don't really understand or don't realize it. Just because you're probably, working from a studio or working from at home or something, even it's still time consuming. You have to be considerate and lift your head up and actually eat something.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, a lot of people just think that you're sat there putting on your camera and recording a video on Instagram and there you go. And that's it. And it's
absolutely
so
not.
Absolutely
not. It's funny. My wife gets on me now. It's like, are you done with work? When she comes home from work, she's like, okay, you're still going. And she gets off pretty late. So, but it's constant. I have to stop myself because but it's also so rewarding, like I said before, and I love what I do. I wouldn't have it any other way. And all of these things, it makes you so many jacks of all trades on just about, you have to learn how to do this. You have to learn how to edit. You have to learn how to, you know what I mean? So it's very challenging, but very rewarding at the same time. And I love what I do. And like I said, that inspiration just fuels me. Like people getting inspired that's my inspiration.
I find that it really helps with my own ability as well, in a way, in terms of musicianship and stuff, because you end up talking about something, and let's say it's something that you know about, but you start talking about it, and then you think, hold on, I better make sure that I really know what I'm talking about here, because then you start doubting what you're saying, and then and you find your own holes in your own,
Absolutely.
Your playing or your knowledge or whatever.
That's a good point you made. You have to know, or kind of double check, what you're saying is correct.
Yeah, because they'll tell you.
Oh God, you already know, man. Like I said, YouTube is phenomenal in that way. Like I said, we're always learning, and doing this actually makes me better. Like that's my practice. This is my, this is my shed too. At the same time, this is my practice time, but wouldn't expect to be doing this, years ago.
No.
But it's awesome that we can, and reach as many people as we can, And I was looking at your channel, man. You have, can't even remember, like 150, 100 and something like thousand.
Yeah, about 100.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I know it just goes up. It just keeps going up, and 1 minute it's 30,000, and the next minute it's that.
I think I just hit like. I mean, I've been for almost 2 years, and I think I just hit like 40,000 or 38, something like. I can't even remember.
You've got a lot on Instagram, haven't you? That's gone really big.
That's the thing, because Instagram I started earlier, and then even Facebook. I have I think now it's like 400,000 or something like that on Facebook, and then Instagram, that group that. I don't even know how that happened. I don't even know how that happened. That just kind of blew up like overnight. Like at one time I had like, how you start off with your regular friends, it was like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people or something like that. Then it just shot up like 20, like in a week, 20,000. Then the next, couple months, 30, then 40, then 50, and now it's like, I think close to 70 something thousand people. But I started that before I started YouTube. So that, it makes sense. But YouTube is different too. All of these social media platforms are different. But
it's that smile, Daric. It's
I don't know, man.
It's addictive.
I don't know, man. It just happened so quick. Like I said, overnight, once I started actually showing, what was going on up here and those bass faces and stuff like that. I just, that's normal to me, but everybody's kind of like.
You're obviously enjoying yourself, and like I think a lot of people really appreciate that because, like, I mean. Sometimes I look like I'm enjoying myself, but most of the time I'm just playing. But with you're digging it, you're really getting into it, and I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, many people different people have many ways of expressing that. You can just have a straight face, but just having the time of your life. People are different. It just shows. I can't hide it. It just shows on. It comes on my face. So it's like it's so. I can't help it. I can't help it, man. So it's like I really am enjoying what I'm doing, and it's so funny because I get so many messages, like so many obnoxious messages, and they say, "Are you really enjoying what you're doing, or are you just putting on a show?" I was like, I try not to respond to that kind of thing, but it's so funny. I just really right. It's really really hard to do that, but I just say, like, my response is just come see me at a show. You'll see what I do. Like there's no different. It's no different. It's so funny because, and then even if you notice on Instagram, like all of my, like how you have those cover shots, like those screenshots before you post a thing or something, all of them are like a smile or like I can't. It's like every single one of them are just like that. It's so funny because I just scroll down. It's like, wow, all of them are like, all of them are like smiles. But hey, man, it's I try to spread that love, man, spread the happiness. That's what it makes it. It's deeper than just playing bass for me. Like I have a deeper connection, especially growing up in church. There's that other side of it. I don't think people really understand that, and that's what kind of got me through a lot of the traumatic things that I've been through in my personal life. Just kind of picking up my bass and just going for it, and just playing a melody that kind of spoke to me, and just music in general, just that just kind of pushed me over, got me through, and so. But yeah, I just want people to find that passion, that they have, if whether it be just for music or for bass or for whatever, just find that passion behind it, and you'll figure out a way to maneuver yourself to where you can use it every day, and it'll help you through life. So yeah, man.
Nice one. All right then, Daric, that was great. So your Instagram is, what's your Instagram?
Instagram is Daric_Bennett, Daric_Bennett, Bennett. A lot of people spell it how they want to spell it, but my first name is a very weird spelling, so Daric. That's Instagram handle. You can Twitter handle is the same thing. Just started Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not really that huge on Twitter, but I just started. I'm trying to build a little bit more of a base on there. That
Facebook.
Yeah. YouTube, Daric Bennett Bass Lessons. That's what it is on YouTube, Facebook, Daric Bennett. You can just type in Daric Bennett. I'm sure I'll pop up somewhere.
Nice one, Daric. So that was great to chat, and nice one.
It's good.